Can you tell us a bit about your work here at Ipsos?
Ipsos Mendelssohn is a wonderful environment. I'm part of the team on the Mendelssohn Affluent Survey. We measure the top 20% of the American public who has household income of $100,000 or more. That said, that translates to about 43 million individuals in 24 million households. It's been a great environment for studying the annual survey that's out there, and I personally am involved in the screens division, generating revenue from the network and online fields.
So you were working for Mendelssohn during the Great Recession, of which I think we're still coming out of that. Are you seeing any differences in the data from these upscale homes?
It's interesting, from last year to this, we did see some movement down on the Plan 2 side. One of the great aspects of Mendelssohn, not sound too salesy here, but a lot of research is backward looking. What do you own? What did you watch? We have a whole section on Plan 2 in the next 12 months. So in the 2009 survey, we did see a little retrenchment from the prior year, but we still see tens of millions of individuals planning to buy new homes, start new careers, travel internationally, buy cars, buy new homes, that sort of thing.
The planning to buy aspect of it, do you divide it into different upscale homes levels or psychographics? Is there a way of saying this group will be buying no matter what, that group, because of their psychographic profile, might be retrenching?
We have a lot of different ways to look at it that way. We actually just added a huge battery of 100+ questions in the psychographic field. So yes, you can slice and dice it that way. We've actually trademarked 4 different affluent psychographic segments as well. For automobiles, it's even more interesting. We have our own luxury market vehicle segmentation also, but then we also look at the years, the dated the car's dates within the households. So if you have a car that's 6 or more years old and you say you're planning to buy, we really think that that segment is really going to be at the dealership soon.
Can you talk a little bit about these 4 segments that you've identified?
Sure. Let's see if I can pull them out of my hat. Globalists are those who are interested in everything international, especially green. Style setters are the shoppinistas, shopaholics and the fashionistas. They're predominantly women who maybe I think they make up 27% of the affluent sphere, but their spending is well over 30%. Next, we have traditionalists who seem to be a little more conservative, but they still have a lot of money to buy, maybe brands that they're more familiar with. Maybe it's even as a child they're continuing to buy. And finally, our individualists. I pulled them all out of the hat. Those are the risk takers and those who are really strident decision makers.
Do they vary by gender, the four groups?
The style setters and the globalists tend to be a little more female.
How is your company leveraging social media?
Part of this new expansion of the questionnaire included personal and business networks, the Facebooks, the LinkedIns, that sort of thing.
Are you seeing any trends, or has anything surprised you from the data that you've seen so far?
It's amazing. A lot of people, maybe I was guilty about it, but myself perceive affluence as, nonagenarian, multimillionaires up in their castle that don't do anything, that don't use any new media. And it's surprising. I mean, in the digital world alone, we see that 98% of the affluents have regular online access. And there's a huge tumult that the country is approaching, I think, 75% online. So we're virtually 100%. Also, more than 90% of affluents have bought something in the last 12 months online. So they really are a great test group. I'm not to take anything away from the youth cult, but it really seems like affluents are a great test group also. They have the money. I mean, who bought the first $400 iPhones? It wasn't your typical 18 to 34-year-old, but it was actually someone of means.
In what ways would you say the upscale population differs dramatically from the rest of the population, and in what ways would you say that it's surprisingly similar?
That's a great question. I know people always say that, so they have time to think of the answer. I guess the differential that I wasn't aware of was that affluents, and these are statistics from the government actually, CPI, they are more than twice as likely to buy a product or a service, and when they do, they spend 4 times as much. So that is the major difference. I guess the commonality of it, there are lifetime plans that really are not changeable. If you're planning to have a baby or get married, these life events do not change.
Certainly for those of us who have worked with upscale networks, don't have to be convinced about the importance of the upscale marketplace, but I'm sure that there must be many of your clients that first had to be convinced of the importance for their business. How do you do that?
Well, we just had a big presentation at the Harvard Club a couple months ago, and the topic was, are the affluents going to be leading us out of this recession? And while there's not a definitive answer, my answer is, well, if they don't, who will? There's still huge spending amounts. Last year we documented $1.2 trillion of discretionary spending just by the affluents. And if you look at it on a pie basis, if you cut out home, not even real estate, but home improvement is the largest slice, travel, personal insurance, that sort of thing. But even if you look at some of the tinier wedges, like 3% for watches and fine timepieces, sometimes, even as a researcher, you might discard 3%. But think about 3% in a $1.2 trillion pie. That's $35 billion with a B dollars being spent on some of these sometimes considered lesser categories.